Oh, don't mind me. I was just trying to see if I'd look cool holding a gun, but I guess not, so forget about it. Just in case. Hello everyone, Mr. Daydream here, and welcome to ChainSauce Extra. Now, to all the anime fans out there, let me ask you a very important question. What is the greatest anime movie of all time? You're probably thinking of films like Akira, Evangelion, or any of the Miyazaki movies. But as of today, I'm sad to inform you that whatever movie you are going to mention is completely irrelevant. In fact, it's nothing but putrid, rancid garbage, because nothing will ever surpass the sheer brilliance and impeccable greatness blessed upon us all by the divine masterpiece simply known as Skye Hoshi Anime Girl. A bit of a backstory. I went to an anime convention because my little sister really wanted to go and asked me if I'd like to come along, and I was like, sure, sounds interesting. Even though I'm not the biggest anime nerd out there, I actually do enjoy going to these kinds of conventions, mostly to see some cool costumes, maybe play some video games, check out some panels, have a little look-see around the shops, and most importantly, checking out the snack stand. They have all kinds of Japanese goodies, such as melon bread, green tea Swiss rolls, and a million Kit Kat flavors. Look at this. This is nuts! Why do they have so many of these darn things? Did you even know there's a sweet potato variant where you actually bake it in the oven for a sweet golden crisp? Yeah, I'm not kidding. What the heck? Having to bake a chocolate bar? Have we really come down to this? But enough about that. As I was stumbling around the convention, I noticed that there was a panel called, you guessed it, Skye Hoshi Anime Girl. I just can't stop thinking of Filthy Frank Anime Hunter.
Filthy Frank, Anime Hunter, Filthy Frank.
But besides that, there was also a booth for this thing, and they were selling all kinds of merchandise such as t-shirts, tote bags, stickers, and more. And there were like 5 people or so scattered around the convention handing out flyers for this big epic event. Now, this is one of those things where the poster itself pretty much tells you exactly what you're getting yourself into. Take a look. Well, gee, the girl is dressed and posed exactly like the anime girl behind her, and there's a dude laying on the ground and seems to be in sheer disbelief of what is currently unfolding in front of his very eyes at this very moment of this very second of this very day. So if I had to take a wild guess, it's about an anime girl who ends up in the real world, and the dude who's laying helplessly in the background probably has something to do with it. Just a hunch, and let's not forget the Shakespearean tagline that reads, "A ramen-fueled fantasy filled with lasers." I think that should tell you everything you need to know about the mentality that went into this otaku-fueled project. When I first saw the ad for this thing, I honestly had no idea what it was even supposed to be, especially since the event took place inside a ballroom of all places. Now, this is the same ballroom where they had all kinds of idols singing, dancing, and doing all that other cutesy garbage. It's also the same room where they did Q&A with some VTubers, but I'm not at all interested in any of that digital trash. So the ballroom is set up like a theater. You have multiple rows of chairs, a performance stage with lights, speakers, and giant movie screens. So when I heard that Skye Hoshi Anime Girl is premiering in this very particular room, I honestly thought it was a stage show of some kind, especially since they had strobe lights and such, and it did in fact mention lasers, so that made sense. I was curious, but not curious enough to go see it. But at some point during my cherry blossom adorned travels, I ended up in the same building where the ballroom is. I saw a line to this event. It was about to start in 10 minutes. I didn't know what else to do besides staring at the CVS vending machine. So I said, what the heck? Let me go see what this darn thing is about. Who knows? I might end up leaving impressed. And boy, let me tell you, I was impressed. For all the wrong reasons. So I went inside and seated myself in the front row. In hindsight, I should have sat in the far back like I usually do so nobody would notice me. Just like at school. But since I thought this was a stage show of some kind, I wanted to get the best possible view of the performance. And I got exactly that. But it was for something else entirely. So it finally begins. A woman showed up and wanted to thank us for being there and all that stuff, yada yada yada. She then began to mention all the work and progress that went into this project, and I was thinking, what are you talking about? What is this? But then she finally clarified what Skye Hoshi Anime Girl really is, and it struck me right then and there. This wasn't a stage show, this was a full-length movie. But before it could begin, they ran a preview featuring the director behind this big screen motion picture epic. And as soon as I saw that he looked like a cross between Skrillex and Tommy Wiseau, I had a feeling of pure dread creeping up on me. This guy wanted to thank us for joining them on this event, and mentioned that not only did he direct this movie, but he also wrote it too. And I was like, oh no. So I ended up sitting through this entire movie, hating myself all the way through it. I was trying so hard to contain my seething wrath and uncontrollable cringe. Let's just say my urge to kill has never been any higher until then. This movie is 1 hour and 45 minutes long, and it felt every second of those 105 minutes. I could have left at any time, but I was in complete awe at this kawaii-themed train wreck. But enough about that. What is this thing about anyway? Well, the movie is about a guy named Adam, a socially awkward dude who's surprisingly handsome for someone who plays the role of a loser. That's my role, pal. He works at a comic book store in New York City. He has big dreams and is completely in love with the Skye Hoshi franchise, which is a cyberpunk-style series that's about a pink-haired female hero who fights off an evil organization known as the Syndicate. One thing I have to make clear is that in this universe, Skye Hoshi is a manga and anime series that's recognized and beloved by many. Heck, it's probably even up there alongside Dragon Ball and Sailor Moon in terms of popularity. And I have to admit, it does seem like the kind of franchise that would have been a huge hit if it came out in the 80s or 90s, so it does seem rather plausible that it's the #1 anime everyone's talking about in this world. Anyways, Adam is a nice and humble guy who just doesn't seem to have any luck. There's a girl he's interested in, but just can't seem to make the right approach. He also can't seem to take a break from his boss, who's not too keen on his passion and constantly advises him to drop it entirely in order to make something more useful with his life. Upset, Adam begins to stock up the shelves with merchandise. He comes across a mysterious jar and decides to make a wish. You can probably tell where this is going. Yep. He wishes that Skye Hoshi is real, and lo and behold, he got his wish. But obviously there are some problems that come with such responsibility. So Adam tries to help and explain to Skye Hoshi that she is now in reality and that the world she's from is a complete work of fiction. She only has a limited number of days before she vanishes. So in order to send her back, they need to find the original poster she came out of before it's too late. But that might be easier said than done, especially when she's starting to learn a lot of things from living in the real world, such as questioning her own purpose in life, as well as discovering new experiences for the first time, and maybe, just maybe, she might even know what it means to fall in love. Aww. Oh, shut up. Now it goes without saying, this is a movie made specifically for anime fans. There are characters who mention anime, the protagonist loves to cook ramen, and he's even part of a band that has a song that's literally titled Tamagotchi. My god. The Leech Street Boys actually have competition for once. But despite what you might think, this movie is not filled to the brim with anime references, so it's not like they're constantly quoting lines from Dragon Ball, doing the Naruto run, or striking Sailor Moon poses. I don't remember how that works, but they do, however, say the word anime a number of times, but they never say the name of a notable series besides, well, Skye Hoshi, obviously. The closest thing to an actual anime reference is from a particular location, which I'll get to that later. So I do have to give this movie props for not going overboard with anime references, because that really would have made this the textbook definition of weeb cringe. But yeah, the idea of a fictional character ending up in the real world has been done before, like Inkheart for example. Then there's the anime recreators. And I guess you could say that movies like Last Action Hero and Shark-Boy and Lava Girl kind of follow the same concept as well. But unlike those, this one has a bizarre catch. Not only is Skye Hoshi absent from the poster she came out of, but from all forms of physical media as well. Yeah! So things like manga, video games, and all kinds of illustrations that feature her suddenly don't have her anymore. You have these two nerdy guys on the news announcing that Skye Hoshi is literally gone. Nobody knows how or why this has happened, but they all speculate that this might be some kind of viral marketing stunt as a way to promote Skye Hoshi's final season of her anime.
That's so insane. How they pulled off such a feat, no one knows.
Is that really a plausible explanation? That sounds impossibly elaborate. Forget the nerdy podcast. This would make the worldwide news. I honestly don't understand why they went with this type of aftermath. I guess they wanted to add some kind of conflict, but I felt like it wasn't really needed because she's supposedly going to disappear in a matter of days anyway, so was it really necessary to add another layer of urgency to this dilemma? Another thing I don't get is that Adam is apparently a huge fan of Skye Hoshi, but despite all that, he hasn't seen all the episodes of her show. Like, huh? Remember the wishing jar? Well, guess what? It's apparently from her world. Yeah, she recognizes it immediately and explains the backstory behind it. It's also how she got her iconic laser gun. Even his dorky friend knows about the jar, as it was mentioned in the very first season of Skye Hoshi. How in the world did he miss that? Did he forget? Now, if this was brought up in the most recent episode he hasn't seen yet, that would be much more plausible. But from the very first season, and he claims to be a big fan of Skye Hoshi? Where's the consistency? There's literally no reason to have it to where he knows nothing about the jar. In fact, it would have made more sense if he did, because that would explain why he would try to make a wish from it in the first place. Not to mention, if the wishing jar is from her world, then how in the world did it end up in their world? They could have easily just made it be an ancient artifact or something, but a magical item that somehow materialized itself from a complete work of fiction? That just raises even more questions. And for something that advertises itself as being filled with lasers, she only really uses that laser gun like 5 times or so in the entire movie, and they don't really amount to anything besides stunning people or destroying random electronics. Well, there is one particular laser blast that does impact the story, and trust me, that's its own can of worms. There is a character that more or less dies in this movie, which I honestly was not expecting, but what's truly bizarre is that it's not properly resolved either. They act as though the unexpected solution fixes everything, but it still doesn't change the fact that friends and relatives of this person are going to wonder what happened to their whereabouts. Now, I'm not going to say exactly what happened, but I will say that I've honestly never seen anything like that before in a movie, and that's truly something. The part where I absolutely lost it was when Skye Hoshi is trying to find her original poster and wanders around, only to stumble upon an anime convention. Yeah, no joke. She looks around all amazed and in pure joy. They have various shots of people in cosplay having a grand time, and they even play enchanting music throughout the whole thing. Oh my goodness, they're really trying to make this look like a Disney World commercial. I'm sorry, I just can't. I just can't. Oh my goodness. Now, I'm not going to say what happens at the end of this film. You could maybe figure it out on your own, but it does include a twist you may not see coming. Several, actually. But that's not even the biggest twist. No! The biggest twist is that halfway through this otaku blind motion picture, it is revealed that the 2 main leads in this movie were actually sitting in the audience this whole time. Yeah! When the projector ran into some issues, I don't know, maybe Skye Hoshi accidentally shot her with her gun or something, they had to restart the film. But while that was happening, the 2 actors who played Adam and Skye Hoshi decided to do a quick Q&A with the audience until the movie is back in action. And I was like, what? They were here this whole time, and they're even dressed as their characters? I have too many mixed feelings that I simply cannot convey here. So they answered a number of questions, and this was where I started to have more respect for the movie, believe it or not. Because the people involved making this thing were so proud of it. I mean, not just the actors, but also the director, and I assume the producers. There were a number of people that showed up when the film was wrapping up, as well as being present at the Skye Hoshi booth, so it's hard for me to loathe this movie when the people behind it were so enthusiastic over the end product. I did speak to a few of them, and they were really great people, so I'm happy for them. Honestly, the biggest problem I have with this movie is that the idea feels way too ambitious for the budget they're working with. It would have been much more feasible if the anime girl is from a romance novel or a dating sim. Like maybe she spent her whole life sheltered because she was told that the outside world is dangerous and ugly. But then there's you, the good-hearted protagonist who's willing to set her free and show her that there is indeed something truly beautiful out there just waiting to be seen. Except it goes far beyond that by literally bringing her to reality. All I'm saying is, if you're going to have a laser gun-toting anime girl who fights an evil organization in a cyberpunk-esque world, I'm expecting some action, but it's more focused on drama than anything else, and I feel really bad because I kept expecting to see much more out of this, like maybe some of the syndicate got into the real world as well, and that would be the climax, or maybe at some point both the main characters get sucked into the poster where we finally get to see the neon-lit futuristic world of Skye Hoshi. But I kept reminding myself, that's not gonna happen. They simply don't have the budget for something as ambitious as that, and sure enough, that was the case. Again, it's hard to get blood-boilingly angry at an independent movie with a tiny budget. It's like, did you really expect anything grandiose? It's completely fine. It's just that to me, it left a lot to be desired. But who knows, maybe that's where the sequel comes into play. Yeah, it had a to be continued near the ending, and the folks involved making the movie did in fact confirm that Skye Hoshi 2 is officially happening. Goody. Now look, I know I've talked a lot of smack about this movie, but I think it's only fair that I do point out some positive things about it. For one thing, the acting is surprisingly good. I feel like everyone in this movie did a really great job at portraying their characters. There was never a performance that felt like it was comparable to that of a high school play. Though I have to admit, whenever Skye Hoshi acts all ecstatic, I did find that somewhat cringy. Though I can't really complain because she's supposed to be a fictional character experiencing things for the first time, so yeah, it does make sense why she would behave that way sometimes. Another positive I have for this movie is that it does have some good humor. The audience did laugh quite a number of times during its run, so it's not like it was crickets the entire time, like I initially thought it would be. There's a lot of good jokes, especially involving the comic book store owner. He is just so done with the protagonist and his anime-tainted hopes and dreams, it ends up being hilarious. Another thing I really like is the laser effect they have for Skye Hoshi's gun. I think it's really cool that whenever she shoots, the gun emits blue-colored smoke from the barrel. What would you even call that? Energy exhaust? Well, whatever it is, it's a really darn cool effect. I wish all laser guns did something more like that in movies and video games, instead of it just being like, pew. And that's the only special effect you'll ever get out of that. And this may sound weird, but I found the behind the scenes stuff to be very fascinating. Like there's a scene where Adam and Skye Hoshi are sitting on a park bench at night admiring the New York skyline. But what's really interesting is that it was actually 20 degrees when they shot that scene, which is why Skye Hoshi is wearing Adam's jacket. Because when you dress like this, chances are you're gonna freeze. They also had her sitting on a heating pad for additional warmth, and when she was resting her head on his shoulder, they both could feel each other shivering from the inside. They thought it was painfully obvious that they were clearly freezing during such a romantic scene, but major props to them because I would never have noticed that, so kudos to their acting. So that's it for now. There's only so much Skye Hoshi I can handle, but it's still not the end. You want to know what I got after this experience? Yeah, my sister got me this shirt from their booth. She was so fascinated that I was passionately ranting on this movie for almost 20 full minutes on the drive back home. So the very next day, she secretly bought me this. Sibling humor, I tell you. Well, to be honest, it's not that bad. It's only text, so people might just assume it's the name of some underground punk band nobody cares about or something. And to those who say that I'm just a big-nosed freak who just tore this passion project a whole new one, which you're not wrong on that, I did in fact show my support by buying some of their merchandise. I even bought a Blu-ray copy of the movie. I also got a signed poster and even a photo with Skye Hoshi herself. I just stood there with the biggest, dumbest smile on my face. I was trying so hard not to lose it. They also sold the wishing jar as well. Yeah, they actually had these things. But what really disappointed me was this. Are you kidding me? I have to assemble the stars myself? I don't even know how to do this stuff, let alone make a paper airplane. Ugh. Guess I can't really get my wish after all. And if that wasn't enough, I also bought a digital copy of the movie, just so I can make this video. On a side note, they also sent me this weird GIF alongside my order. What is this? Are they thanking me, or is this some kind of threat? So despite me constantly throwing dirt at this movie, I did in fact show my support for it. Yeah, I more or less funded a wall just to tear it down, I suppose, but if it's a way to benefit others, then it's all worth it, I'd say. I don't know, I just get to the point to where I care more about what's best for others instead of just what's best for me. Yeah. But you want to know what's truly tragic? I'm actually looking forward to seeing what's next for Skye Hoshi. It was such a unique and bizarre experience, filled with cringe, rage, laughter, confusion, elements that raise my urge to kill, as well as ramen and lasers. So to the people who made this movie, you did good. Though they probably want me dead after this video. It also doesn't help that I stole one of their pens. Yeah. During the premiere, they placed small forms with pens attached on a select number of seats. The idea is for you to write your email address and hand them to the folks at the booth once the movie is over. That way you can gain exclusive goodies and such, whatever they might be. I didn't fill mine in, I just shoved it in my pocket and forgot all about it until I got home. So, to the people at Pure Magic Pictures, I accidentally stole one of your pens. Sucks for you guys. So thank you very much for watching this episode of ChainSauce Extra. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Take care and have a nice day. They have all kinds of Japanese goodies, such as melon bread, green tea Swiss rolls, and a million Kit Kat. Whoa, what the heck?